There were some drugs. They were flying from the medical stores. And these drugs were found being sold on the black market at a very exorbitant prices, which the ordinary Zambians, the ordinary citizens, cannot manage to buy. If they fail to manage, what will tell them to manage this? Coming from their background of failing, how are they going to manage? And what assurance are we given that this money is safe in the rightful hands? In the labor movement, we believe that the money is in the wrong hands. The background speaks more volume of where we are coming from. There is no assurance that this money is going to improve the intended purpose. There is no specialized institutions under the Ministry of Health, and we believe that the Ministry of Labor, which deals with workers, the Ministry of Labor, which has managed the National Pension Scheme, NAPSA, they were better placed to handle this. They deal with workers. And one other thing which makes the Ministry of Labor different from the Ministry of Health is the Ministry of Labor will never come up with a law without bringing the employers and the workers' representatives together. This has never happened. This is under the Private Labor Tripartite Council. Understaffing, the coming in of the health insurance scheme, it won't resolve all these challenges. It doesn't mean that the understaffing will end. It won't mean that we are going to have improved the safe delivery, where we are going to have machines, the equipments which are needed in our health centers. I've given an example of the endoscope machine. Say, go around to Saka, go to Chawama, go to Kanyama, go to Matero, whether we have an endoscope machine there. Why should we only have an endoscope machine at UTH? So the coming in of the National Health Insurance Scheme is not going to improve on this, because we are looking at the background where we are coming from. It was much better to improve on what we have than trying to impose. This is a way of tax. It's another tax. It's a tax on the already burdened workers. They are deducting money long before they even come into function. Just that action itself is clear signal to know that it's not done in good faith. It's not what they are trying to proclaim, say, no, this is what we are going to do. We are not, you see, when children are growing, they eat porridge. But as they grow up, they are given solid food. So, it's wrong to treat citizens as if they are children. This is what we can say on this.
Somewhere where we should start from, because I think for us to have such kind of schemes later on in life, there should be a platform to start with, actually. Don't you think this is a good thing where we can start from and then develop? It is quite
good, but the challenge we have is when you fail to listen and bring other people on board. This is what we are saying. The universal health care in other countries, by the way, we had a symposium where the same boards, they call them the NHIMA, the National Health Insurance Management Authority, they were invited to come with other countries to learn how other countries have managed it. It's a good idea. Nobody will be against it. The challenge we have with the process where you want to dribble other people, where you want to exclude, you become the alpha and the omega of everything, because you call yourself, I'm a doctor, then there's in knowledge, in wisdom, there's no doctor. It calls for involvement of other people so that you get ideas. Where we had this, where they were invited to come and they didn't come, I had an opportunity to represent the CTU there. We learned from other countries how the system was evolving. And in other countries, they're saying they're actually using money not from pay. They are not getting money from the workers. They are using VAT.
Okay.
Yes, we learned this because other people from other countries, from Ethiopia, from Ghana, they were there and they were trying to see how it has worked in their country.
So here we've been trying to scrap off VAT.
Yes, we said this is a very good idea, but I wish we started it by engaging other people. The labor movement, trade unions are not against it. It's a process where you want to know it all by not bringing other people on board and quickly implement it. Now, we're talking about the low budget allocation. You know, the Ministry of Health has been getting donor funds. What happened to that fund which they've been receiving? And then already we shall look at the workers. The same workers, why we are saying no? If they had salary increment, how is our economy? How is the economy performing? That's another thing.
4% for public sector.
Okay, 4%. Deduct away the 2% which I think they're supposed to give to their unions by law. From their basic pay, 2% from their basic pay towards the union subscription, 1% from the imposed law tax. This is an imposed thing because people are not happy about it. As I'm speaking to now, they are even trying to go to the private sector to say that no, even the private sector, is this a fundraising or is it really something which is meant to improve?
Okay, just there, President. I think before we came on the show, I was on the Ministry of Health page on Facebook.
Okay.
And I was looking at the number of comments there. People seem to be ready for this, especially the public sector. Because you said that the public sector already is in implementation. This 1% out of their income is being deducted. And the majority of the comments they are saying this is a good move.
Who are saying so?
The people.
Calculate to know who are those and where do they belong to, for them to...
Majority of
who
them,
are they?
Majority of them are claiming they are in the public sector. Because they are even suggesting also take it to the private sector.
Okay, the plain truth is, no public service worker is happy about it.
Okay.
Those people who are trying to support it are just paid off to support those who are doing wrong things.
Those are allegations.
The allegations, yes. From where I'm coming from, the public service, no public service workers are happy about it. Because one, whom do we represent? Whose views are they representing? A true union leader who knows the impact of this cannot say that they are happy about it. They are implementing it at a time when things are very hard. We're telling them that the timing, at a time when you want to implement it, wrong timing. When you are talking about tariffs of DESCO being increased, who bear the costs? It's the workers. When you are talking about fuel pump price going up, let's talk about the reality of issues that they are. The bad thing we have in this country is when they have trade union leaders who are speaking the truth, they are perceived to be enemies. They want people who are going to be singing, praising, even on wrong things. That's not the role of trade unionism. It's to speak about issues because the role of the trade union is to speak on behalf of their members. And the roles of those who are politicians in their offices is to implement the policies and the laws which are going to uplift and create wealth for the citizens, not make them poor and poor and poor. So there is no public service, and I'm aware what is going around behind the curtains. I know what's in stake. We want them to begin to go to the private sector because theirs was, the background of these issues. Now you are bringing me to challenges. There is a fate of the private sector's health schemes. I'm coming from the private sector. During our bargaining and negotiations with their employers, we have had in-house health schemes which have performed very well.
You have in-house?
Yes, they are active now.
Okay.
Most of the private sector, they've got in-house national health schemes, which these are in-house arrangements, health schemes, which they've been running very well with no challenges. The coming in of
those obviously selected employees companies, of course.
No, the private sectors where there are trade unions.
Okay.
There are private health in-house schemes arrangement. These are put on the bargaining table. And now the public service, they were supposed to negotiate for this national health with their employers' government. We don't know how their bargaining collapsed. And the big no, let's make it as a universal, no everybody. Now what is going to happen is, even us who were enjoying from the private sector, the employer will say, oh no, we can't manage because they brought in a law. That's why even to our parliamentarians, there is need for them to make laws which are going to be remembered for. One day in a country, there was a parliament where a parliamentarian made a law that there will be no lifts on vans, no people should be carried on open vans. They passed this law while it's in parliament. When the same people made the law, there came a time when their time was over in parliament. Now, he was once a former MP somewhere. And he settled in an area now where the mode of transport was only open vans. And he stopped to ask for a lift. And then the driver said, you are the people who brought that law, so we cannot give you a lift to this van. No, please forgive us because those way. So we need to have laws which we shall be remembered for that. When we were in those offices, we made a law. There's one thing I remember about Arabi. Arabi, shortest president of Zambia, I think he served for 3 years in office. Do you know one thing I remember him for? We used to have challenges. He made the pump price to be uniform. When you are in Lusaka that time, you go at a little filling station, you refuel, the price was cheaper. When you go further to Chipata, it's expensive. It's him who brought that. Said no. Let's make it. The pump price must be uniform. Whether in Lusaka, whether in Katete, whether it's in Mongo, we should have the same. We remember him for that. Now, when you make laws which are going to hit you when you leave your office, it's not a good thing. Private sector now, the employer will say, we can no longer manage to have these schemes. And what happens? Because this will be now mandatory that they will say they opt to maintain costs. You know, you have to save, right? The private sector in business, so they will have to say no. Let's do away with these in-house schemes because now the government has brought in this. Now today, if people are sick today, it takes how many months when you look at when you look at the act, which I haven't bothered to read it. It will take 3 months for you to be given that universal card, membership, what. Already people are, the public service workers, there's deduction. If your teacher is getting a basic pay of 4,000, already 40 pin is out.
So in short, these are the threats you are looking at. For example,
these are the challenges.
You are worried about the efficiency of it. Would it be efficient?
Without it, I've given you an example that if you can have drugs flying away from medical stores and on the black market, what about money? What about the corruption or part aspect of it? Okay, other than that, there should be need for accreditation by these health insurance providers. The health, if you are say that you want to provide health services, there is accreditation faced through a fee, and they can either revoke it. Whether you meet, there are certain conditions which are put in place. How have these health schemes, private health providers, how have they managed for all these years? Now, why today do you want to subject them to this? Why? It becomes now that it can also be a bridging area for corruption. The Order Unions report has spoken about money which has been misappropriated by the Ministry of Health. We have seen drugs not being delivered. You have heard these issues. This is in public domain. Drugs meant for this place worth about this amount of money were not delivered. Are these the people we want to trust to hold this money again?
So
are we sure?
Let's look at least on the brighter side. Maybe we try to dissect this.
No.
I know you continue there.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's try to dissect this a little bit. For instance, on the brighter side, what would it bring to the workers? For instance, what will the contributors' rights? If I contribute the 1% towards the NHI, my national health insurance scheme.
I don't want even to buy into that because I doubt it. You know, we need to speak things practically to where we are now. I'm coming from a background where we have patients in the family, and I know what is involved to access health, just even at UTH with the cancer hospital which we have there. Don't tell me that the understaffing, the essential drugs will improve. The 3 months period where they are deducting money to be affected, we were supposed to see because how much money? We need to know how much money. This is public funds. You can't play around with public funds. What is it? What is the change we are going to see within 1 month? They've gotten from the public service, but before that, it will be fixing the allowances for that body. It will be their salary first. You mean they are going to be there for free? No, it's employment creation for those characters who are going to be there. They first have to take care of themselves before they look into the aspect of what it is for. It's a good idea. Many countries of the world, they've adopted it. We learned on how other countries, South Africa, go to Kenya, go to Ghana, go to Ethiopia. They have it, but the fact is the labor movement, concerns by the employers, Federation of Employers and the labor, it affects both the employers and the workers. Because the employer will contribute. We will have challenges in the workers getting salary increment from the workers. Bargainings will fall down on the table. Okay? Other than that, the in-house schemes will be secondary because some employers will opt out of the private schemes to save costs. The other thing is contribution rates, according to their act, is only determined by the minister. He is the alpha and the omega of everything. No other people must come on table to say, how much do we... Tomorrow, tell me, what will stop him to say we need now 5% from the employers? He can come up with any figure. You don't have anything which is like that. We need something which is consultative and it involves other people engagement. There is no monopoly of knowledge in this kind of issues. So where you agree, and there are other aspects which you look into consideration. How much was awarded to workers as a salary increment? when we are coming with this percentage, what will the worker remain with? What about the cost of living? You measure all these issues. When they are talking about this, themselves, they will increase themselves with their salaries. Nobody questions about how much they've gotten themselves. They don't feel it. It's the workers who are feeling it. And this is now why we find that the employer and the workers representatives, who are the trade unions, are saying, it cannot be, it's quite a good idea, but why are you fast to implement it? Okay?
All right, so thank you so much actually for being with us. I was hosting the president of Grammuz, the trade union, looking at a number of issues to do with workers in the agriculture sector. All right, so we were looking at the National Health Insurance Scheme, all right, which is actually already implemented in the public